Hello everybody and welcome to another video from the Geek Gossip channel. I'm Jack Higgins.
And I'm Artie Higgins, and this is a channel where we talk about movies, comics, and all things geek.
Yeah, this is our first ever video. We've been doing like an audio only podcast for like, what is it, like 3 years now?
Yeah, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, so it's like we've been doing this for forever now, just audio only. So we're figuring like, hey, you know, we're getting really good at this. Why don't we branch out, take it to the next level, maybe go down the tubes? And by the tubes, I mean the YouTubes on the interwebs.
Yeah, you gotta see us on the YouTubes for you.
Yeah, and I don't know why we're talking like old people now.
Yeah.
But anyway, we figured like what better way to start out our new YouTube video channel than a review of the new superhero movie, because we always love talking about superhero movies.
Yeah, so without further ado, let's get into it. Out this weekend is the biggest DC movie of the summer, an action-packed adventure speeding us into the multiverse, The Flash. For quite some time, we've been awaiting Barry Allen's DCEU solo movie after his original appearance in the Justice League. So after Loki, No Way Home, Doctor Strange 2, and a couple of Spider-Verse movies, DC needed some of that multiverse magic. And what better a place to do that than in a Flash movie? So The Flash got a decent 66% critic score and an 84% fan score on Rotten Tomatoes, but is looking far worse at the box office. According to Variety, The Flash only opened with $55 million in the US and Canada, and just making a little over double of that as of Monday the 19th.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. I mean, DCEU movies, I know they don't really have an amazing track record at the box office. I mean, there's hits for sure. Like, let's talk about Aquaman, let's talk about Wonder Woman. Those both did really, really well. But then you'll have like these low points, like both the Suicide Squad films, Birds of Prey, I'm pretty sure was a flop. And all the recent DCEU movies have been doing terribly. Like,
yeah, and I really think I've been seeing a lot on the internet that's like people like don't really want to see DC movies because it's not really going to mean anything going forward. Because we all know that like James Gunn and Peter Safran are going to completely reset the DC universe in 2025. I mean, they're going to keep some of these characters, but most of this isn't really going to mean anything going forward. So why take the time to go to a movie theater, sit there for 2 hours, watch this movie that isn't really going to be very important going forward?
Yeah, I concur.
In this era where everything's interconnected and crossovers and multiverse and all this stuff, like, doesn't really mean anything when it's not gonna connect with anything in the future.
There's DCEU movies I haven't seen, and it's like I was fine going into Flash,
There's loads that we haven't seen. Yeah.
Like, I've probably seen maybe like just over half, honestly.
Yeah, I think just half probably.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, it's kind of crazy, like, just how, like, sort of worthless not worthless, but how, like, disconnected. It's like, there's no real reason for it to be in a universe. And it's like, they've always sort of had 3 franchises going on at the same time. Like,
right.
I had a friend who I saw this Flash movie with. He's like, I want you to give me the full timeline order of the DCEU. And I'm like, does it really matter that much? Like, you know, the first one I watched was Wonder Woman. You know, well, granted, that is the earliest one in timeline order, but I know people who have like just seen Aquaman or just seen Shazam and been fine, you know? So it's not like the MCU at all. And even the MCU has started to get disconnected. Like,
yeah, certainly.
Moon Knight, Eternals, and Miss Marvel. Like, do any of those even feel like the same franchise?
Yeah, even though Moon Knight was amazing and those other 2 were terrible.
They were both different kinds of terrible.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like even Marvel's starting to lose their power. So I mean, it would make sense like why DC is, but I really think with The Flash, the wrong film is getting punished here, because it is like the best DCEU movie we've seen in a while.
Yeah, I think so too.
So like, this starred Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, Sasha Cale, Ben Affleck, and Michael Shannon. You know, it's the latest installment of the DC Extended Universe, and it's easily one of their best movies yet. From director Andreas Masciuti, this is exactly the tribute to the Scarlet Speedster that cinema needed. So what are your general thoughts on The Flash?
I loved this movie. Regardless of the recent controversies in real life, Ezra Miller was excellent as the Flashes, plural, in this movie. I really like the Flash / Barry Allen's character arc and motive in the story, a lot being from the comics, which we'll be getting into soon. The dynamic between the two Barry Allens was great, even though they were both played by the same actor. It surprisingly wasn't hard to confuse the two, similar to what we saw in Marvel's Moon Knight series. It was so cool how much they tied this movie to Man of Steel, which is like really one of the few great DC movies, and I feel like no one really talks about it. And like also in this movie, they put in a ton of Batman stuff, which I thought was really awesome as well.
Yeah, I mean, something I loved about this movie is that, like, up until this point, the DCEUs kind of had, like, two complete different phases, you know? So it's like, half of the movies will be like this total, like, dark, gritty, over-the-top, dramatic Snyderverse type thing.
Right, yeah.
You know, like, of course, like Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Zack Snyder's Justice League, whatever. And then, like, the other half will be, like, kind of like Marvel from, like, Wish.com, you know, like MCU from Wish.com, where it's like they're trying to be fun, lighthearted, jokes every couple minutes. It doesn't feel like the same franchise, but
right.
Something I really liked about The Flash, something it really captured that like none of the other DCEU movies had, was a balanced tone, you know, which really counts for a lot. Because it's
definitely, yeah.
There's of course like it's of course funny. There's of course like awesome CGI fight scenes and a lot of jokes because it's a superhero movie in 2023. Like, what do you expect? But there's also like this sort of these dramatic stakes, like these dark elements, you know, like a lot of stuff similar to Man of Steel, because of course you have Zod in there. And like the Supergirl character, there was a lot of like Snyder-esque cinematography, I felt, because Supergirl and Zod had some fight scenes they had to cut from the movie for being too R-rated.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So that I generally really liked. You know, it was just a lot of fun, a total blast. I mean, if you haven't seen a single DCEU movie, even if like you barely know who the Flash is, I'd say go see this, even if you don't know Michael Keaton's Batman.
Well, I would recommend watching Man of Steel first.
Right, Man of Steel first. It helps. There's stuff that helps, but I don't think there's anything that's like crucial to the enjoyment of this movie.
Yeah,
for sure. And you know, in a lot of ways, this also definitely counts as a Batman movie because, well, there's literally two Batmans who influence the story. Or Batmen.
Yeah, Batman, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, we haven't really gotten to the point where we need to use plurals of superheroes, but we're getting to that era, you know? So, but both the Batmen were great. Like, I'm not a huge fan of either Affleck or Keaton originally. Like, I mean, Keaton, I'm just not nostalgic about it just because it was, you know, not for my generation. So it didn't really click with me as well as, like, say, like, Pattinson or somebody, you know?
Right, yeah.
But, you know, and Ben Affleck, I have a lot of gripes with those Snyder movies because, like, sure, he looks badass as Batman. The warehouse scene is the best fight scene in any Batman movie, but it's really weird how he kills people and has these bizarre visions of the future, and the Joker in his franchise is just annoying. So, I mean, I don't really like Ben Affleck's Batman, but this movie made me love Batfleck, even though he was in it so little, and I'm now kind of sad to see him go because I finally like him as Batman.
Yeah, Ben Affleck was pretty cool as Batman.
Definitely. It's like he has a blue cowl, which I think is really cool, you know? It's like he rides around on that motorcycle, and I think there's few things like more Batman than that opening sequence. And it was just, he was all around really cool, I felt. He was a cool part of the story. And Michael Keaton, though, I think is the best performance in this movie overall.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, like, I mean, because it's like he was just such a good actor.
Yeah, he was really good in this, but what makes you think he was the best performance?
I honestly think Keaton in this movie specifically might be the most faithful adaptation of Batman we've seen in live action, honestly. Just because they aren't trying to make Batman dark, gritty, and realistic. They aren't, like, grounded by the special effects of their time. They're writing Batman like he's an actual superhero, like he's just so Batman, he's just Batman. Like, Will Arnett Batman, kind of, you know? And it's like, I like how humor, like, sort of works with his character, and it's like he's funny as Batman, but he's also cool and badass, so it's like it's exactly what you'd expect of a Batman movie in the MCU era, you know?
Yeah, right.
And I'm just so excited to see like Muschietti's take on like his own Batman, because he's making his own Batman movie in James Gunn's new DC universe.
The Brave and the Bold. I'm really excited for that. Muschietti's confirmed to direct that, so that's going to be really awesome.
There's going to be a Robin in that too, which is cool. And I like
it's based off of the Grant Morrison run, so that's going to be cool.
Yeah, so it's going to be Damian Wayne, which is awesome, and we're yet to see him in live action. He's a mixed received character, but it's cool because he's actually Batman's biological son, so it's kind of the least weird.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he is also the youngest. But so anyway, like now you had another thing you wanted to say about like the source material of this film.
As I mentioned earlier, this movie, it was pretty comic accurate at times, and the specific comic that I feel like it pulled the most from was this one, Flashpoint. So, like, there were so many scenes that were somehow adapted in the Flash movie, like the electric chair scene, the Superman breakout scene, and the whole, like, arc centered around Barry Allen as deceased mother. That, like, all came from Flashpoint and was adapted some way into this movie. Now, I personally think this movie should have just been a live-action adaptation of the Flashpoint comic, though there was an animated movie for it. Flashpoint is just such a great story, it deserves a blockbuster adaptation. And they were so close, too. They had all the key points. They even could have had Michael Keaton portray Flashpoint Batman, which I think would have been pretty cool. But, I don't know, his sense of humor and stuff wouldn't really work for the dark Flashpoint Batman character. And if you didn't know who Flashpoint Batman is, basically, in this alternate universe that Flash creates in Flashpoint...
Thomas Wayne is Batman.
Thomas Wayne lives, and Martha and Bruce are killed. So he's like an even darker, like grittier Batman, like the Punisher as Batman, which I think he's the ultimate coolest Batman and would just be so awesome to see him in live action. But if they did do this like Flashpoint adaptation in the Flash movie, it would mean they'd kind of have to drop all the extra Superman and Supergirl, like Man of Steel stuff. But I just think...
As well as the Burtonverse stuff.
Yeah, I just think this movie was kind of like a hodgepodge of a bunch of things, which I liked, but if they had just adapted Flashpoint, it would be better, because, like, there was, as I mentioned, there was that Flashpoint animated movie, but it wasn't, like, the best. It was, like, a true adaptation, but the main, like, thing that I disliked about it was the art style, because Andy Kubert draws Flashpoint, and... his art is so amazing. Like, it's such a cool, unique style. Works so great for the Flashpoint comic. But, like...
You know, Jeff Johns writing it, of course.
Yeah, Jeff Johns also is an excellent writer on it. But, like, the art style of that animated movie was pretty bland and choppy. Like, did not fit for Andy Kubert's style at all. So, like, I feel like... And then yet again, with this Flash live-action movie, the special effects were kind of weird in it. That was intentional, but they were weird. It would have been cool if they made more stuff based off of Andy Kubert's crazy art in this, or just made the animated movie in his style. So, like, I don't know. I feel like this Flash movie should have been better to Flashpoint, and then the animated one should have been better to Flashpoint. I feel like Flashpoint, it's just so good, and we just need, like, a true adaptation of this comic with the real art style, the real story and everything. Like, I totally recommend reading it. If you're thinking of reading it before the movie, it's basically like the book before the movie type thing. Where, like, if you want to critique the movie more, if you want to have more things like to like critique about it, definitely read the Flashpoint before, because there's a lot of things that they could have done in it that they left out. But if you want to really just enjoy the movie and save all that for later, then read the Flashpoint afterwards.
How do you think it ranks in comparison to past DCEU movies?
I think it's definitely up there. Like, there's like 4 DCEU movies I really love the most, and that's The Flash, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and Man of Steel. But, like, the two that are, like, way up there is the original Shazam and this Flash movie.
Yeah, I'm the same way. You know, like, I like Man of Steel. I like both Shazams. I like Flash. I like the first Wonder Woman, second Wonder Woman. I don't think anybody likes that movie, but
yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, like way to ruin the first one. And totally like throw it off being like, it's gonna be an 80s movie and have like zero 80s pop culture.
Yeah,
you know?
and like Pedro Pascal's an amazing actor too.
They had New Order in the trailer too. Like, that's such a letdown, you know. But so that's sort of like my top 5 DCEU movies. But I honestly think like Shazam is still the best because I mean, Flash was really, really good, but it's still a very complicated story. And if you're not into like the multiverse, fan service, time travel stuff, then I don't think you'll really dig it that much. When like Shazam's just like a straightforward superhero movie. It's a fun adventure with just these kids living in the DC universe, like there isn't really any cameos or anything. Like, sure, there's Superman at the end, but we don't even see his face. It's not Henry Cavill, they're just focused on Freddy and Billy and all these kids just trying to like, just figure out how to be superheroes, And so that's why it's my favorite because it's just a normal, straightforward story in the DC universe. So like, that's why I think Shazam is still like better than Flash. Cause like, I mean, multiverse is kind of a turnoff for a lot of people, our mom included, because she's watching the trailers. She said multiverse makes me sleepy. So, and that's fair because I mean, you can only do it so many times because like there's starting to be tropes, even though this is an idea that's only been around for like 3 years, So
right, yeah.
Well, at least in superhero movies,
every movie is being multiverse at this point.
Exactly. And not even multiverse, just cameos in general.
Like how close together Across the Spider-Verse and The Flash were.
Right, and that might be why Flash is suffering at the box office.
Yeah, maybe.
Because, it's got a lot of competition this month.
Spider-Verse was amazing, though. That was so good.
Yeah, it was great. But just
it's really got to compete with is Elemental. Oh my God, it looks so good.
Like, no
I heard,
question.
Elemental's also bombing, which isn't a surprise at all.
Like Flash, it's great. I recommend you check it out. And it's kind of a bummer it isn't like doing as well as like people anticipated. Because one, no Batman Beyond movie, and two, it really deserves a lot of attention. I think because it's all around a great, enjoyable movie. Is it the best movie ever made? No, but it's an awesome movie. How do you rank it scale 1 to 10?
I'm going to give it, I actually have a whole analysis on this. I'm going to give it a 7. It's not 9 or 10, obviously, because it doesn't really stand out the most. It's not like the most like exciting, like, wow, this is such a unique, like, brand new thing that we've never seen before. Like, that's how like the D&D movie was to me. But it's not an 8 either because of Flashpoint. Not a lot of Flashpoint accuracy in it, and that's something that kind of bummed me out. So I'm just going to leave it at a 7.
Okay, I'm putting it at 8 just because I really, really enjoyed it, and I really, really liked Keaton Batman.
Yeah, that's fair.
And just, I don't know.
For me, it's a 7.
There's all around so many awesome parts in here. I just think it's an all around really good movie, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So I totally recommend like you go see it if like, if you liked No Way Home and Across the Spider-Verse and Loki and Multiverse of Madness, of course, then check this out,
Yeah.
If you like Snyder stuff, check this out. If you like Batman movies, check this out. It's just all around. It's just it's a combination of so many things. It's like it's just a weird, unique little movie. And I think that really counts for a lot in 2023. It's the 3rd best movie of the year so far, I think.
Really?
Superhero movie,
yeah.
Because it's just coming in behind like Guardians 3 and Across the Spider-Verse, of course. Then like Flash, and then below that would be Shazam and Ant-Man. Because sure, those are good, but they don't really do anything new. They're only really good in the sense they're like every other superhero movie.
Yeah, before we wrap up, do you want to get into Easter eggs and appearances a little bit more?
Yeah. So this is going to be a spoiler, so I recommend you skip past this part because we're going to have like a chapter blocks thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so there was Nicolas Cage Superman.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage Superman. That was really cool. So there's a lot of Tim Burton related stuff with this movie, but Tim Burton was actually set to direct a Superman movie way back when that was going to star Nicolas Cage, which is the weirdest thing, but like mullet 90s dramatic Superman.
Yeah.
So they had an awesome scene in here with Nicolas Cage as Superman fighting a giant like tarantula monster, and that was really cool.
Yeah. Kevin Smith was writing that screenplay.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was.
That's crazy.
It seems really weird because Nicolas Cage, he can't really do anything aside from Nicolas Cage, and Superman is so definitive, and he's not Nicolas Cage, so that would be weird. But I know they brought him back to play Superman in Teen Titans Go to the Movies. So, Like, honestly, so I knew something like this could be possible.
Yeah, it's just cool.
But
to
I
see
think it's
stuff
just
like
kind
that.
of a missed opportunity to not make that the same universe as Keaton Batman.
Yeah, right. It could just be a whole Tim Burton universe, which was definitely
You know,
a missed
because
opportunity.
there are of course fan art and theories about that, but you know, I don't. It's okay. It's a long shot in the first place, but another bunch of other Easter eggs. There were of course CGI recreations of Christopher Reeve and Adam West, of course.
Yeah, and then also the Supergirl.
Batman and Superman respectively. Yeah, Donner versus Supergirl.
Yeah, so
besides
she was,
Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, that was cool. So they showed like the Donnerverse universe, which was really cool.
Yeah, and I honestly think this is like the original Donner timeline, not the Superman Returns timeline, because we see that in Arrowverse, but this is like the...
Yeah.
Because there's a timeline split in between Superman 3 and 4, right?
Weird.
Yeah, because one timeline's where Superman Returns happens, the other one's where Superman 3 and 4 happens, but but this is original like Donner Superman, which I think is really cool. But of course, like Christopher Reeve isn't alive anymore, so he can't be Superman in here.
Yeah, and Adam
it's the
West,
same deal with Adam West.
Adam West was cool. Yeah,
it was awesome. They had him doing a lot of Batman stuff near the end of his life. I definitely think like a lot of those animated movies, and heck, like Burt Ward was even in Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I think is really cool. So it would have been cool to have him here, but like the fact they had like a de-aged Adam West Batman, I think is really cool for Earth 66 as it's referred. And then George Reeves Superman, from like the old serials,
the film serials Superman from like the 20s or 30s or something.
And
like
there's a Jay Garrick Flash in that universe too, in black and white.
Yeah, they show that Flash, which was really cool with the.
I just think that's a cool idea for sure. So, like, that makes me wonder, like, what other superheroes are there in that universe? And is that the same universe as the old Batman serials, So it's like, it provokes all kinds of questions that I think are interesting. So, there were definitely some very, very cool Easter eggs here for sure.
Yeah, it was really exciting.
So, yeah, all around, like, at the end of the day, is Flash the greatest superhero movie of all time? I wouldn't say so. It's no Dark Knight. It's no Avengers Endgame, but it's for 2023. It's really, really good. It's a movie I think will stand out, and I think we'll definitely remember it going forward a lot because there's just so many awesome parts, so many funny jokes, and so much great heart and just awesome action too. So it's worth watching because it seems like exactly the kind of superhero movie I would want to make,
Right, yeah.
So definitely check out Flash.
Yeah, Flash was awesome. So basically, we just want to get in real quick before we wrap up. We want to get into this. Obviously, this is our very first time doing this YouTube thing, so kind of stay with us as we try to kick this off the ground. We're going to try out a ton of different styles of YouTube videos and all this different stuff. And really just see what lands, see what we want to stick with going forward. It's going to be a lot of fun. We don't really have we don't really know when you can expect new YouTube videos. Just go to our social media to find out when they come out, or subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. It's so cool to say that now.
I mean, we're going into the summer, so we'll probably have stuff out pretty often. But yeah, so definitely bear with us as we figure this out. It's a very new, very complicated thing. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. You can follow us on Instagram. Our handle is the Geek Gossip _podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at the Geek Gossip P1. And you can go to our Facebook page, The Geek Gossip.
Yeah, you can also check out our awesome website, thegeekgossip.com, where you can vote in our battles poll, which we'll try to do a battles video soon, however that'll be. Vote in the battles poll. You can buy our awesome merch. We have some of our stickers with us right here. And read Jack's blog posts, send us an email, whatever.
Yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. But till next time, remember, the Force will be with you always. Always.